The bright afternoon sky above Earth suddenly lit up with an unusual flash. At first, the scientists at the Global Space Monitoring Center thought it was just another piece of space debris burning up in the atmosphere. But when their instruments started picking up strange energy readings, they knew this was different. "Something's entering Earth's orbit," said Tom Wilson, the lead space monitor. His eyes were fixed on the main screen, watching as an object twice the size of a football field moved into a stable orbit around Earth. Its surface was covered in strange markings that seemed to glow with a faint blue light. The mystery ship's sudden appearance sent Earth's military forces into high alert. Fighter jets scrambled into the air, and space agencies around the world pointed their most powerful telescopes at the vessel. Everyone waited, watching to see what would happen next. Then it began. A signal, broadcasting on all frequencies. The message repeated over and over, getting stronger with each transmission. It wasn't in any human language, but it was clearly a distress call. The pattern matched emergency beacons used in old sailing ships on Earth. 3 short bursts, 3 long ones, 3 short again. Dr. Ann Miller, Earth's leading expert in signal processing, worked through the night with her team. They fed the alien message through their most advanced computers, trying to decode its meaning. After 18 hours of non-stop work, they made their first breakthrough. "It's not just one message," Dr. Miller announced to the emergency council that had gathered. "They're broadcasting in at least 30 different languages, none of them from Earth. They're desperate for anyone who might understand them." The world's governments agreed to send a response. They transmitted a simple message of peace in all human languages, along with mathematical sequences to show their intelligence. Hours passed as humanity held its breath, waiting for a reply. The response came in the form of a video transmission. The image quality was poor, distorted by damage to the alien ship's communication system, but it showed something that made everyone in the monitoring center gasp. The aliens looked almost like tall, thin humans with silvery skin that seemed to shimmer like starlight. Their large eyes reflected light like mirrors, and they moved with an unusual floating grace, even inside their ship. One of them stepped forward, placing a hand on its chest. Using a translation device, it spoke in a voice that sounded both tired and hopeful. "We are the Skyborne. Our world is dying. The Great Council abandoned us. You are our last hope." The aliens' words were interrupted by a violent coughing fit. In the background, others could be seen lying on makeshift beds, clearly ill. Their ship's interior showed signs of damage, with sparks flying from damaged panels and emergency lights flashing. World leaders quickly called an emergency meeting. While some advised caution, others argued that they had a moral obligation to help. The debate lasted only 2 hours before they reached a decision. Humanity would help. The space agencies of Earth worked together to launch their most advanced spacecraft to dock with the alien vessel. As the human ship approached, they got their first clear look at the damage. The alien ship's hull was covered in burn marks and deep scratches, telling a story of a desperate journey through hostile space. Dr. James Cooper led the first medical team aboard. What they found shocked them. Over 300 Skyborne refugees, many suffering from severe radiation poisoning. Their ship's radiation shielding had been damaged during their escape, slowly killing them as they searched for help. "We'll do everything we can," Dr. Cooper promised the Skyborne leader, who introduced himself as the ship guardian. "Earth may not be the most advanced planet in the galaxy, but we don't turn away those in need." The ship guardian's mirror-like eyes reflected the doctor's image as he spoke softly. "The council said we were too primitive to be worth saving. They said the same about Earth. Perhaps they were wrong about both of us." As the human rescue teams began their work, news of the alien arrival spread across Earth. Humanity was about to show the galaxy that true civilization isn't measured by technological advancement, but by the capacity for compassion. 3 days after the Skyborne's arrival, Earth's leaders gathered in the newly established First Contact Center. The ship guardian, now stronger after receiving initial medical treatment, stood before them to tell his people's story. His silvery skin caught the light as he activated a holographic display showing a beautiful world with twin moons. "This was our home," he said, his translator converting his musical language into English. "Our star began to die much sooner than it should have." The hologram showed their sun turning an angry red, its surface boiling with massive solar flares. The room fell silent as they watched the Skyborne's recorded history unfold. Their cities, built like delicate crystal sculptures reaching into the clouds, began to crack under the increased radiation. Their once flourishing farms withered as the climate changed rapidly. "We knew we had 50 years before our world became uninhabitable," the ship Guardian continued. "Our scientists worked day and night to develop space travel technology. We needed to evacuate our entire civilization." Dr. Cooper, who had been treating the refugees, raised his hand. "But surely the Galactic Council could have helped. They have the technology to move entire planets." The Guardian's mirror-like eyes dimmed. "We believed the same. Our fastest ship traveled to their capital world. We begged for help." He paused, his hands trembling slightly. "They laughed at us." The hologram changed to show a grand chamber filled with various alien species. At its center, tall beings in elaborate robes looked down at the Skyborne representatives with clear disdain. "The Council told us we were too primitive." The Guardian's voice grew bitter. "They said our civilization had not reached the required technological level for membership. Without membership, they would not help. Those were their laws." "You mean they let millions die because of bureaucracy?" a human diplomat asked, horrified. "Yes. We approached other advanced species privately. Some wanted to help, but the Council threatened to sanction any world that assisted us. They said helping primitive species interfere with natural development." The hologram showed the Skyborne's desperate attempts to save themselves. They built thousands of ships, but most failed to launch. Their best scientists worked themselves to death trying to develop better technology, all while their sun grew more unstable. This ship, the Guardian gestured around him, was one of only 10 that successfully launched. "We carried our youngest and brightest, hoping to find a new home. But the Council," his voice broke slightly, "they sent ships to turn us away from every habitable world in their territory." "What happened to the other ships?" someone asked. 3 were destroyed trying to break through the Council blockade. 4 disappeared in deep space. 2 ran out of fuel and power. We are the last." The Guardian's shoulders sagged under the weight of his words. The room erupted in angry mutters. Humans might be new to space travel, but they understood injustice when they saw it. "Our ship was damaged escaping the Council's patrol vessels," the Guardian continued. "We spent months running, watching our people die from radiation poisoning. Every advanced world closed their doors to us. Then our long-range sensors detected Earth." He turned to face the assembled humans. "We almost didn't come here. The Council's records listed Earth as even more primitive than our world. They said humans were violent, divided, barely able to reach their own moon." "What changed your mind?" Dr. Cooper asked softly. "We intercepted your broadcasts. We saw your stories, your news, your entertainment. You fight each other, yes, but you also help each other. When disasters strike, you send aid even to your enemies. We saw how you treat refugees from war-torn regions. We hoped, we prayed, you would show us the same compassion." The Guardian bowed his head. "We were right. In 3 days, you have done more for us than the Council did in 3 years. You proved that true civilization is not measured by technology, but by the heart of its people." The room fell quiet as his words sank in. Then one of the human leaders stood up. "Guardian, tell us what your people need. Earth stands ready to help." Little did they know, this decision would change not just Earth and the Skyborne, but the entire galaxy's future. Dr. Cooper stared at the medical scans with growing concern. Around him, the best doctors from every nation on Earth had gathered in the newly established Skyborne Medical Center. The images on the screen told a frightening story. "The radiation damage is worse than we thought. He explained to the room full of experts. Their cells are breaking down in a way we've never seen before. On the screen, the silvery cells of a Skyborne patient were slowly falling apart. In the hospital wing next door, more Skyborne fell ill each day. Their once shimmering skin had turned dull, and their mirror-like eyes were clouding over. The ship guardian watched over his people, his own health failing, but refusing to rest. "We have maybe 2 weeks," said Dr. Maria Santos, a radiation specialist. "After that, the damage will be too severe to repair." She pointed to another screen showing the failing organs of their patients. The room grew quiet as the weight of her words sank in. Dr. Cooper walked through the hospital ward later that day. The Skyborne were quiet patients, never complaining despite their pain. He stopped at the bed of a young Skyborne child who was drawing pictures of her lost homeworld. "The problem," he explained to the guardian who had followed him, "is that your biology is both similar and very different from ours. Your cells can absorb radiation that would kill us instantly, but once they reach their limit, they shatter like crystal." The guardian finished. His voice was weaker now, but he still stood tall, just like our cities did when our sun began to die. In the research lab below the hospital, hundreds of scientists worked around the clock. They had divided into teams, each attacking the problem from a different angle. Some studied Skyborne biology, others worked on radiation treatments, and more researched ways to repair damaged cells. "Look at this," called out Dr. Lee, an oncologist who specialized in cancer treatments. She pointed excitedly at her microscope. "Their cells respond to the same signals as human cancer cells during treatment." The discovery sparked new hope. Teams began adapting human cancer treatments to work with Skyborne biology, but each attempt failed in different ways. Some treatments were too weak, others too strong. Time was running out. A breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Late one night, a young medical student named David was watching the Skyborne child draw. She was using special crystals from their ship that changed color when touched. "Dr. Cooper," he called out suddenly, "what if we're thinking about this wrong? We're trying to fight the radiation damage like we do in humans, but look at how they use crystals in everything. Their art, their buildings, even their technology." The idea spread through the research teams like wildfire. They began studying the Skyborne's crystalline technology, looking for ways to incorporate it into their treatments. The ship guardian provided them with samples of their medical crystals, now too damaged to work properly. Working together, human and Skyborne scientists made a crucial discovery. The same properties that made Skyborne technology work could be used to repair their damaged cells. But they would need to create new medical crystals, something never done before on Earth. "We'll need to convert half the hospital's power supply," Dr. Cooper told the Emergency Council. "And we'll need crystal-growing experts from every major university." "Do it," came the immediate response. "Whatever you need." As the first rays of dawn broke over the horizon, the largest crystal-growing operation in human history began. Scientists who normally made computer chips worked alongside geologists and medical researchers. They had one chance to get it right. In the hospital ward, the ship guardian watched Earth's cities light up in the early morning. Despite his pain, he smiled. "Even now, you surprise us," he said softly. "Your people work as one to save aliens you never knew existed a week ago." Dr. Cooper checked the guardian's vital signs. "That's what humans do," he replied simply. "We fix things. Now let's fix your people." None of them realized that in solving this problem, humanity was about to make a discovery that would change their understanding of both medicine and technology forever. The massive crystal-growing chamber hummed with energy. Inside the reinforced glass walls, beautiful blue-white crystals grew in perfectly controlled conditions. Dr. Cooper hadn't slept in 36 hours, but he couldn't look away from the miracle taking shape before him. "The crystal structure is matching Skyborne's cellular patterns," Dr. Lee announced, checking the readings. "It's working exactly as the computer models predicted." Around her, teams of scientists watched their monitors with intense focus. After hundreds of failed attempts, This batch looked promising. In the hospital ward above, David sat with the Skyborne child he'd met earlier. She was teaching him to draw with their crystal-based art tools while he explained Earth's animals to her. Her condition had gotten worse, but she still smiled when he showed her pictures of dolphins and elephants. "The first treatment crystals will be ready in an hour," Dr. Cooper told the ship Guardian. "We've modified them to work with our radiation therapy equipment." The Guardian nodded weakly. Like many of his people, he had grown too sick to stand. The medical team moved quickly once the crystals were ready. They had created a new treatment that combined human cancer radiation therapy with the Skyborne's crystal technology. The crystals would act as both shields and healing catalysts, protecting healthy cells while helping damaged ones rebuild. They decided to test the treatment on 3 volunteers first. The ship Guardian insisted on being one of them. "The leader must take the first risk," he said, his voice barely a whisper now. The treatment room looked like something from a science fiction movie. Modified radiation therapy machines surrounded a central platform. The new medical crystals glowed softly, pulsing in time with the patient's heartbeats. Dr. Cooper took a deep breath and pressed the start button. The room filled with a soft blue light. The crystals began to sing. There was no other word for the gentle humming sound they made. The 3 Skyborne patients lay perfectly still as the combined human and alien technology did its work. Hours passed. The scientists checked and rechecked their readings. Slowly, incredibly, the patients' vital signs began to improve. Under the microscope, their damaged cells were healing themselves, using the crystal energy as a guide. "Look at this," Dr. Santos called out excitedly. "The crystals aren't just helping them heal. They're making their bodies resistant to further radiation damage." The discovery was beyond anything they had hoped for. By morning, the test patients were showing remarkable improvement. The ship Guardian's silvery skin had regained its shine, and his mirror eyes were clear again. More importantly, the radiation damage in his cells had stopped spreading. "Begin treating the others immediately," Dr. Cooper ordered. Teams of doctors and nurses moved through the hospital ward, preparing patients for treatment. They worked in shifts, running the crystal therapy machines around the clock. David brought the Skyborne child her favorite Earth pictures to look at during her treatment. "The dolphins will still be here when you're better," he promised her. "Maybe you can even see them for real." Within days, the results were clear. The treatment was working better than anyone had dared to hope. The Skyborne were not just surviving. They were getting stronger. Their bodies were adapting, becoming more resistant to radiation with each treatment. "You've done more than save us," the ship Guardian told Dr. Cooper as they watched more patients receive treatment. "You've made us stronger than we were before." The Council said Earth was primitive, but they were wrong. "Your people took our technology and improved it in ways we never imagined." Dr. Cooper smiled. "That's the thing about humans. We're good at thinking outside the box, especially when lives are at stake. And we never give up on people who need help." News of the treatment's success spread quickly around the world, but no one expected what happened next. The Skyborne weren't the only ones changed by the new crystal therapy. The combination of human and alien technology was about to open doors that neither species had dreamed possible. The real breakthrough was just beginning. The sleek ships of the Galactic Council appeared without warning, dropping out of faster-than-light travel just beyond Earth's moon. Their vessels were works of art, all smooth curves and gleaming metal, making Earth's best spacecraft look like children's toys in comparison. 12 Council ships have entered our solar system, reported Tom Wilson at the Global Space Monitoring Center. The same center that had first detected the Skyborne's arrival now tracked vessels more advanced than anything humanity had ever seen. The ship Guardian stood straighter now, fully recovered thanks to the crystal therapy. His mirror eyes narrowed as he watched the Council ships approach. "They're here to see how we survived. They don't believe a primitive world could have saved us." The Council's message arrived on all frequencies, broadcasting in perfect English. "This is High Commissioner Vale of the Galactic Council. We are here to investigate reports of unauthorized technological advancement and illegal refugee harboring. Earth's leaders gathered quickly in the emergency council chamber. The Skyborne Guardian joined them, along with Dr. Cooper and his medical team. They had expected this confrontation eventually, but not so soon. Illegal refugee harboring. Dr. Cooper whispered to the Guardian, is helping dying people illegal in space? To the Council, yes, the Guardian replied. They believe advanced technology should only be shared with species that meet their standards. They're afraid of what you've done with our crystal technology. The Council delegation landed outside the First Contact Center in a display of technological superiority. High Commissioner Vale was tall and elegant, with skin that looked like polished gold and eyes that seemed to see through everything. Lesser council members followed behind, each looking down at the human welcoming party with barely concealed disdain. We have received disturbing reports, Vale announced without greeting. You have taken restricted technology and modified it without council approval. This is a serious violation of galactic law. Dr. Cooper stepped forward. With all due respect, Commissioner, we modified medical technology to save lives that you abandoned. We didn't know about any galactic laws, and frankly, we wouldn't have cared if we did. People were dying. Vale's golden face showed no emotion. Show me these modifications. They led the council delegation through the hospital and research center. The commissioner watched silently as humans and Skyborne worked together, using the new crystal therapy to treat the last remaining patients. In the research lab, scientists showed how they had combined human radiation treatment with Skyborne crystal technology. Impossible, one of the lesser council members muttered. These primitives couldn't have. They fell silent under Vale's sharp glance. The final stop was the crystal growing chamber. The commissioner stared at the pulsing crystals for a long time. You grew these, without quantum stabilizers or gravity controls. We used modified semiconductor manufacturing equipment, David explained proudly, and some techniques borrowed from growing crystals for computer chips. Vale turned to face the human and Skyborne leaders. You have achieved in weeks what the Council's best scientists said was impossible. You took dying refugees that we, for the first time, the commissioner hesitated, that we wrongly abandoned, and you not only saved them but improved their medical technology. We did what any decent people would do, Dr. Cooper said simply. The commissioner's next words shocked everyone. The council was wrong. About the Skyborne, about Earth, about everything. Our laws were meant to protect developing civilizations, not condemn them to death. News of the council's visit spread across Earth. Humans watched the massive ships in their skies and felt pride instead of fear. They had proven themselves on the galactic stage, not through military might or advanced technology, but through compassion and innovation. What happens now? The ship guardian asked Vale. The commissioner looked out at the bustling medical center, where humans and Skyborne worked side by side. Now we must change. The galaxy must change. And perhaps Earth will help show us the way. No one in that room realized they were witnessing the beginning of a revolution that would reshape galactic society forever. 3 months after the Council's visit, Earth had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The crystal technology that saved the Skyborne had opened doors to incredible new possibilities. The once empty fields outside the First Contact Center now hosted a sprawling research city where humans and Skyborne worked side by side. Dr. Cooper walked through the new Crystal Medicine Institute, marveling at how quickly things had progressed. In one lab, researchers used modified crystal therapy to treat human cancer patients. The results were remarkable. Diseases that were once fatal now cured in weeks. The latest test results are in, Dr. Lee announced excitedly. The crystal-enhanced treatments work on almost all human diseases. It's like the crystals learn and adapt to whatever they're trying to heal. The Skyborne had been generous with their knowledge. As soon as they recovered, they began teaching humans everything they knew about crystal technology. But humans did more than just learn. They innovated. "Look at this," David said to the ship guardian, showing him a new crystal matrix he'd developed. "We combined your crystal computing with our digital systems. It processes information 1,000 times faster than our best computers." The guardian's mirror eyes reflected the glowing crystal with amazement. "We never thought to use the crystals this way. Your people see possibilities we never imagined." News of Earth's achievements spread across the galaxy. Other alien species began arriving, not to judge or investigate, but to learn. Many brought their own technology to share. Earth had become a place where the galaxy's best minds gathered to exchange ideas freely. In the hospital wing, the young Skyborne girl who had inspired the crystal breakthrough was teaching other children, both human and alien, how to draw with crystal tools. Their artwork glowed with inner light, creating beautiful moving pictures that told stories without words. The Council's laws were meant to prevent primitive species from misusing advanced technology, a visiting alien scientist told Dr. Cooper. "But you humans do something different. You don't just use technology. You improve it and find ways to help others with it." The changes weren't just technological. Human society was transforming too. Countries that had once competed now worked together. The sight of alien ships in the sky had become normal. Children grew up learning about different species and their cultures. The Skyborne's original refugee ship, now fully repaired, had become a museum. Inside, holographic displays told the story of their journey and humanity's response. It stood as a symbol of how compassion could bridge the gap between stars. "We're receiving messages from other refugee species," Tom Wilson reported during a global council meeting. "They're asking if Earth would accept them too." The Council's rigid laws left many worlds without help. The ship guardian, now Earth's ambassador to the galaxy, stood to address the Council. "My people were dying when we found Earth. You saved us and gave us a home. Perhaps this is Earth's true purpose in the galaxy, to be a sanctuary for those in need." The council chamber erupted in discussion. Earth had already changed so much. Were they ready to help other species too? The debate was short. The decision was unanimous. "Tell them they're welcome here," Dr. Cooper said, thinking of how far they'd come. "We'll find a way to help them all." In orbit above Earth, construction began on a massive space station, built with a combination of human innovation, Skyborne crystal technology, and contributions from other alien allies. It would serve as a gateway for refugees and visitors from across the galaxy. The young Skyborne girl tugged at David's sleeve, showing him her latest crystal drawing. It showed Earth, but not as it was, as it would be. In her art, the planet glowed with crystal cities that reached into space, surrounded by ships of all shapes and sizes, a beacon of hope in the darkness between stars. "Is this the future?" David asked her. She nodded, her mirror eyes shining. "The future you helped create. The future we'll build together." And so, what began as a desperate plea for help had become something greater, a transformation that would echo across the stars for generations to come. 1 year after the Skyborne's arrival, Earth had become unrecognizable. Crystal spires rose alongside traditional human buildings, their surfaces gleaming with inner light. The once empty space around Earth buzzed with activity as ships from across the galaxy came to visit the planet that had changed everything. From his office in the new Galactic Cooperation Center, Dr. Cooper watched a group of refugee children playing in the crystal gardens below. Human kids played alongside young Skyborne and half a dozen other alien species. They used crystal toys that responded to their thoughts, creating fantastic light shows as they laughed and ran. "Remember when we thought we were alone in the universe?" David asked, joining him at the window. The young medical student had become Earth's leading expert in crystal-enhanced medicine, working with doctors from 20 different species. The ship guardian, now officially Earth's first ambassador to the galaxy, entered the office with exciting news. "The Council just approved our proposal," he announced, his mirror eyes bright with joy. "Earth has been granted special status as an open sanctuary world. No species can be turned away if they come seeking help." This was a massive change in galactic law. The same council that once banned helping primitive species had now recognized Earth's unique role in the galaxy. The transformation had begun with the Skyborne, but it didn't end there. In the Crystal Research Labs, human scientists worked alongside aliens from across the galaxy. They combined Earth's innovative thinking with technologies from 100 worlds. The results were extraordinary. "We've perfected the deep space crystal drive," Dr. Lee reported during the daily briefing. "By combining Skyborne crystal technology with human rocket design, we've created ships that can travel 10 times faster than anything the Council has." But it wasn't just about technology. Earth had become famous throughout the galaxy for something else: its willingness to help others. The planet had accepted refugees from 12 different species in the past year alone. Each brought their own knowledge and culture, making Earth richer in ways no one had expected. The young Skyborne girl who had first inspired the crystal breakthrough now led classes teaching crystal art to newcomers. Her artwork decorated the main hall of the Galactic Cooperation Center, showing scenes of different species working together, helping each other, building a better future. The Council was wrong about something fundamental, the ship guardian told a gathering of Earth's leaders. They thought advancing technology was what made a civilization great, but you humans proved that greatness comes from how you use what you have to help others. In orbit, the massive Unity station neared completion. Built by humans and aliens working together, it would serve as a gateway for refugees and a symbol of Earth's new role in the galaxy. Its crystal-enhanced systems could process and help millions of visitors each year. Tom Wilson, still at his post in the Space Monitoring Center, picked up a new signal. "Another refugee ship approaching," he reported. "Looks like they're running from some kind of natural disaster." Without hesitation, Dr. Cooper activated the welcome protocols they had developed. "Guide them in," he said. "Let them know they're safe now." The young Skyborne girl tugged at David's sleeve again, showing him a new crystal drawing. This one showed hundreds of ships heading toward Earth, each carrying people in need of help. But Earth wasn't alone in the picture. Other worlds glowed with the same welcoming light. "What's this?" David asked her. "The future," she said in perfect English. "Other worlds are learning from Earth. They're becoming sanctuary planets too. Soon, there will be no more abandoned people in the galaxy." Dr. Cooper smiled at her words. From a single act of kindness, helping the desperate Skyborne when everyone else turned them away. Humanity had started a revolution, not one of violence or technology, but of compassion and hope. The sun set over the crystal spires of Earth's new cities, its light reflecting off the ships in orbit. Somewhere out there, among the countless stars, other civilizations were watching and learning from Earth's example. The galaxy was changing, one act of kindness at a time. And it all began because humans chose to help when no one else would.